You know, as I was rewatching and replaying some of Joe Vargas, Angry Joe's videos from the past few years, one of the videos he talked about was Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Now, he did admit that there was a lot of positive reviews for it. No doubt about it. I mean, this is basically one of those dream matchup games that you always wanted. Two of the most popular franchises in video game history, one of them, well, fighting franchises in video game history, two of them, coming together for one game. I mean, when you take a look at the fighting games out there, from Street Fighter to Mortal Kombat to Tekken, those are the top three people talk about. You can bring in Soul Calibur and King of Fighters and Virtual Fighter and Fatal Fury all you want. But the top three everybody always talks about: Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken. So when you have two of those top three come together for one game, it's a dream come true. Now, one thing Angry Joe did talk about a few years ago when he mentioned this, and I think it was 2012 according to this, was the fact that this game, this very disc, if you will, has content on there that you would have to pay for. It already has content on there you would have had to pay for, and still have to pay for. Even has content that was supposed to be exclusive only to PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. Now, with that all said and everything, this was a big deal when it was first announced, and everybody was happy to get their copies of it. Now, the only problem was there was supposed to be a follow-up that was supposed to come out later that year, at least the beginning of 2013. Yeah. As far as I know. Well, I'm trying to see something here. Yeah, 2012. There was supposed to be a follow-up to it, which was supposed to come out, like I said, later 2012, or at least early 2013. Well, it's been about 4 years now, and we have yet to see any follow-up. The follow-up was supposed to be called Tekken Cross Street Fighter, and it was supposed to be published by Namco. Yeah, Namco helped Capcom with this one, but it was released by Capcom. Even though Namco, allowed the characters to be used and everything in the game, Capcom is the one that published it. In a format in a video game style very similar to Street Fighter 4 at that time, and if not somewhat similar to what you see with Street Fighter 5. But unfortunately, the follow-up, Tekken Cross Street Fighter, has yet to be. And like I said, it's been 4 years. And Angry Joe, Joe Vargas, and I hope you have a speedy recovery on your eye surgery and everything, man. I really do. I'm surprised you didn't get a chance to talk about this, because this is something that fans have been wanting as well. They've been wanting the follow-up. They want to see how Namco would do it from their kind of perspective, a 2D perspective. How they handle things. Fans wanted to see how they would handle the Street Fighter characters. And as of April of this year, according to Wikipedia, the project's been put on hold. And it makes me wonder, will we ever see it? And I think I have a couple of theories as to why that may not be the case. And as to why we may not see it, at all, and why we may not see it for quite some time. I mean, we'll probably get it. We'll probably get Tekken Cross Street Fighter, but it probably won't be for quite some time. Because I know the publishers at Namco and Capcom, they want to focus on other projects, other video games. Again, I get that. I respect that in a sense. But when you have fans clamoring, well, not so much clamoring, but anticipating in a way and asking when and where's the follow-up to a potentially great fighting game, Street Fighter Cross Tekken crossover game, is going to be, and they don't get it yet. It makes them wonder. It makes them curious. So, with that said, why haven't we seen it yet? And again, I have some, in my opinion, some potential reasonings why we haven't seen it yet, why we may never see it, and why we will see it, but it'll be quite some time before we do. One of the reasons we haven't seen it yet is I think there are some behind-the-scenes issues going on. One of those behind-the-scenes issues has to deal with the fact of what Angry Joe mentioned in his video 4 years ago. He mentioned the whole disc-locked content that was on the disc, and how basically it was a crime, in his opinion, and the opinions of a lot of others. And yes, I think I may have talked about this as well when I heard about it, that you shouldn't have to pay for something that's already completed and on the disc. You should just let it either be free DLC, unlockable off the disc, or just let it be on the disc. Let it be playable right off the bat. And also, don't go out and tell people, oh, well, you can get Pac-Man and Mega Man exclusively only on PS3 and PS Vita, or on another console, period, and then suddenly have those same characters locked up and on the Xbox 360 version as well. So I think one of the reasons we haven't seen it yet is because they want to make sure, Namco and Capcom, or at least Namco in my opinion, they want to make sure they don't repeat the same process that Capcom did. They don't want to have to say, oh yeah, we'll bring in all the same characters, maybe some new ones, but we're not going to pull what you guys did. We're not going to disc lock the content or anything. No. If it's there, we're going to let it be free DLC, or we're going to let it be playable right off the bat. We're not going to, hide it from anybody. We're not going to do that crap. And, that potentially could be, in my opinion, one of the reasons we have not seen Tekken Cross Street Fighter yet, the Namco version. That's why we haven't seen it. Potentially, is because, like I said, I think Namco wants to avoid doing what Capcom got in trouble for. Now, with that said, there could be potentially other reasons. One of the reasons we may never see it is maybe, again, due to behind-the-scenes issues, maybe there's a lot of character designs that Namco's getting wrong. Namco's trying to do it from almost a 2D perspective. A 2D, 3D perspective, kind of similar to the Tekken games, or in the same vein as the Tekken games. And maybe there's some misused character designs or whatever. The mods are not being done correctly for the characters. Who knows? But it might be along the veins that Capcom is not agreeing with how some of the characters are being represented, being designed, maybe how the story represents their characters. We don't know. But potentially, if that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, maybe there's some kind of disagreement of how the story represents certain characters from the Capcom side compared to the Namco side, maybe character design and everything. Maybe that might be one of the reasons we have yet to see it and may never see it. But then there's the potential of, yeah, we'll see it, but it won't be for quite some time. And what I mean by that is, we will potentially get Tekken Cross Street Fighter maybe on the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, the PS4, the PS4 Pro Slim, the PS VR, Project Scorpio, if you will, maybe even the Nintendo NX, and even maybe the PSP. But the reason we'll probably see it, but not for quite some time, if you will, is due to the fact that Capcom and Namco are focused on other projects. And Capcom itself, at times, is trying to bounce back financially in a lot of ways from bad sales, bad reputations, and they're trying to obviously wipe their slate clean. They're trying to get themselves away from all the controversy that they've dealt with throughout the past several years due to stuff like what Angry Joe pointed out, the dislocked content that shouldn't be, DLC that's locked onto the disc that you pay for, but should be either free or just playable right off the bat. So, I think that's one of the reasons we have yet to get it, that's one of the reasons that, we have yet to get it, but we will. We will probably get the sequel. Like I said, one of the other options of, it's like what I'm trying to say is, in the case that we probably get it, and we probably will still get it, the reason it might not be for a long time, as I mentioned, is exactly what I just said about Capcom. Is due to the fact that Capcom is trying to wipe the slate clean of all that controversy, of all the bad decision making, all the controversies they put themselves through, as well as they're focusing on other games and other side projects. And the same could be the same could be said for Namco. They're probably working on some projects as well, side projects, what have you. So they can't totally put their focus on one game, especially one that's supposed to be a follow-up to this. And get it out there. And of course, I think one of the other things potentially holding it back from being a reality, which, in the case that it is, one of the other things that's holding it back is you have this evolution of video game consoles. You have, the PS4 Pro coming out, the PS4 Slim, the PS4, you have the Xbox One S, you have Project Scorpio, you have the Nintendo NX, you have the PSP, you have PSVR, and all that coming out and about, that it's getting hard for some third-party developers like Capcom and Namco to focus on, okay, how do we present the game now? Because I'm sure all Namco wants to do is present a fighting game. But now they're getting all these other options thrown at them, potentially for better graphic ability, better resolution, if not a virtual feeling, basically like or more along the lines of a interactive environment with VR. So they got all these things coming out, and if you're Namco and even Capcom working with them on this, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, we're going to get this game out, maybe within the next few years, a lot longer than people anticipated, but how do we present it? And I think that's one of the reasons that, yeah, it will be released, but it won't be for a while. So those are several of the reasons. One of the reasons, like I said, that we may never see it is due to maybe some behind-the-scenes issues between Capcom and Namco as far as story, characters, and all that are being presented and being done. And maybe there's a disagreement going on between the two sides that's preventing any future release, if any at all. And then you got that possibility of, yes, we will get it, but it won't be for quite some time, due to the fact that, Capcom's trying to wipe their slate clean, trying to get out of the mess they put themselves in, as well as focus on other projects. And then you have Namco doing the same thing, focusing on, well, not the whole get themselves out of certain messes or anything, but mostly focusing on games. But then on top of that, you have this evolution of video game entertainment, video game consoling, that's making it a little confusing for those at Namco, thinking, okay, we were originally going to do it like this, and now we got all these other options. How do we do it? How do we present it? So that's why that's why, from that point of view, why we will still get it, but it probably won't be for quite some time. So hopefully we'll get an answer down the line as to when we will see the follow-up to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which is Tekken Cross Street Fighter. But until then, we'll just have to wait it out and see what happens. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Now I'm out.